Okay, welcome to Her Gutsy Voice, where we talk to women who have careers and who are married and how they're able to encourage their husbands to support what they do. So often, a lot of times, and Yola, you probably have heard this too, where it's, I need to leave my husband to find myself. And it's like, well, perhaps that's a skill that you as a woman would be valuable to find out whether or not you should leave your husband, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to introduce Yola Cruz. I met Yola many years ago, and she's always impressed me on her commitment to helping women have great relationships. And if you follow her journey, you'd recognize she walks her talk, right?
I
Okay.
absolutely do. That's the name of the game. It's like my life is my marketing, so I have to. It keeps me accountable.
Yeah, I know there was a joke one time when my husband says, "Yeah, my wife's a marriage counselor." And somebody said to him and looked at me and says, "Well, that puts a lot of pressure on keeping your marriage together." It's like, okay, whatever it takes, right?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
What was your turning point, Yola? Because I know that there was, in any marriage, I think there's a moment when a woman thinks, I'm not happy. What am I doing? What's going on? I can't fix it. He's not listening to me, whatever. So, what was your turning point?
I get goosebumps every time I even think about it. I was so we had three children. I was They were still little, and I was cooking in the kitchen. And it's just one of those evenings, right? It just feels like you're on autopilot and things are just happening. So I'm cooking, I'm thinking, I'm looking at the kids. I'm like, gosh, it would be so much easier to just be a single parent. I'm already doing almost everything for the family. So it's like, what's the point of being married and being having all this constant bickering? And suddenly I can hear his footsteps because he would come from work and go to work, right? Because we were literally just passing by. And I would just manage the household, work as well with him. And we try to avoid each other, I think, for the most part. And then I hear the footsteps. I'm like, oh, he's coming downstairs. And I'm by the kitchen sink and just doing dishes or something. And he's coming down, and I know that as soon as he walks in, it's going to be a fight. And of course, he walks in. He asks me probably like if the pasta is whole grain or something silly like that, just to know. And before we know it, we get into an argument. And I try to push us out of the kitchen because I don't want the kids to hear. Because like we try to do it behind closed doors, but I push us out, and we end up underneath this arch walkway to the kitchen, and we're standing there, and we just start yelling at each other. And suddenly, our oldest son, 6 years old, he comes in, he between us, he pushes us aside, looks at us with his pleading eyes, and he screams, "Guys, just stop fighting!"
Wow. At 6 years old, what was that like?
It just broke my heart.
Oh, I
It really broke
bet.
my heart because that's how I grew up. That's
Uh,
what I saw. My
wow.
parents, when I was growing up, hiding in the closet, just listening to the thundering voices through the house. And that was the turning point because I looked at him and I was just like, "Hi, that cannot go on like this. Either way, we change something, we get a divorce, or we fix it." And just happened that I went away for this retreat that weekend, but I also called my life coach. I had a life coach at the time for 3 years. Wasn't happy helping me much with my marriage at all. It was just like putting band-aids on.
Hmm.
But fortunately, they switched the coach on me. Fortunately, at the time, and I asked her like I said, like, I'm my wit's end. Like you gotta give me something. This
Yeah.
is not working. And she said, "Here's the book. It's The Empowered Wife by Laura Doyle." I'm like, okay, I'll take it. It was a surrendered wife at the time. I'm like, surrendered, huh? But anyways, I'm like anything, anything. So I took that book and then I listened to it. I was just in shock to find out how much I was contributing to my breakdown of my marriage.
Really? What did you notice?
I was being critical. I was being ungrateful. I was complaining all the time. And all the things that I had no idea I was doing. I thought that was all his fault, that
Right.
he was doing all those things to me, but it turned out that the tables have turned and I was the one who did way more things than you would have ever thought to break down that relationship.
But Yola, don't you find that often a woman's voice comes from this disempowered place where all they do instead of asking for what they want, they complain about it.
Yes.
You know, I remember one time when it was like, I'm hungry. and my husband didn't do anything.
Hmm.
And it was like, well, didn't you hear me? I said I was hungry. And he goes, yeah, okay. I didn't realize that he didn't understand. Like, if I were to say to you, I'm hungry, you'd go, oh, let me go get you something.
Yeah.
Us girlfriends have that language. We understand that, but
Yeah.
apparently men don't.
They
Yeah.
don't. We do use different language, and you know, there is this trend right now that the genders don't matter, that you can be all that stuff, right? But it does. It's different.
Yeah.
The
It is.
communication is different between because the brain processes it differently. So if we try to make it the same, we're failing clearly. I mean, we have like 50% divorce rate in the States, and Orange County has about 70% divorce rate.
Oh, is that the area you live in?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
70%. Oof.
yeah.
Like it makes you wonder, should I ever get married?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was questioning. I'll tell you something. When I was in college, I swore I would never get married
Wow.
because I grew up in a small village. My mom was divorced, so there were only two families that were divorced. There was my mom, and there was another one in the whole village. So it was different times, right? And but every fall there was so much drinking and so much abuse, so much like women were just walking with black and blues, and there was just like this horrible environment. And coming even from my father who was abusive, my mom left when I was 5. I was just like, why would I even ever want to get married? For what? So I was just dating for like 3 weeks at a time. I was just I'm not getting married until I met my husband.
Yeah. Do you think that that contributed to your that moment of deciding, I either leave this man or I fix it? Do you think that coming from that, watching marriages not work made you say, I'm going to make my marriage work?
I tried. See, it wasn't even that, like, I tried to fix it. We went to marriage counseling. The first marriage counselor I actually went to, she told me to get a divorce. That was half an hour conversation. Our child was 9 months old. I went with full of hope. Teach me, tell me. I've never seen how a healthy couple communicates through conflict. I've never seen it because
Right.
I grew up without a father. But my mom didn't date. I mean, if she did, it was on the outside. She didn't bring many like people home.
You said
But
something important. Communicate through conflict,
yes.
not avoiding conflict,
Mm-mm.
but communicate through it. I love that.
Yes. So I didn't know how to do it. So it's not like I didn't try. I tried. I went to church groups. I went to all the different things and just nothing worked. And because I was never, it was never modeled to me. And even if I saw like occasional somewhere, you don't get the glimpse of it like, oh, they're happy, but what are they doing? So you never really learn. That's why when I read that book, it was just like glaring at me. Oh, that's what a healthy relationship looks like with no control, with taking care of yourself, with appreciating your husband, and then he appreciates you back. So it was like a manual for me to learn how to be a happy wife.
Did you ever feel like that book was telling you it's your fault?
No, no, it was very empowering. That's why I love how they changed the title. Laura changed the title from Surrendered Wife because that was really for women, for very high achieving women. It's a very difficult title to swallow. So I
Yeah.
had a really hard time even recommending it for anybody. But when she changed it to Empowered Wife, this is truly what it is. It's you get empowered through surrender on things that you have no control over anyways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So, I hear a lot of women talking, why am I the only one who has to fix this marriage? And here you were, it just took a book. You read the book. And so there was something about you that said, I'm going to fix my marriage. Because I do know that Laura Doyle she doesn't tell your husband what you're doing.
No,
Do it without him knowing. So why? What was it about you that said, I'm going to fix my marriage?
because there was a pathway. See, the hardest part before was that I was dragging my husband to marriage counseling and would sit on the couch for an hour a week and I'll complain about him with the counselor. And that's all we would do. And then he would like say a few words in between and nothing was getting better. So then I figured when I read the book, I'm like, okay, it didn't work. We tried the couples thing. I tried to fix him. I tried to tell, the marriage counselor to tell him to be a better man. It didn't work. So I got to try something different. And because she gave me a roadmap, I enrolled into the coaching program like almost immediately because I was like, this is it. And I always wanted to be a coach anyways. I just didn't know what kind, right? Like life coach, health coach, whatever. But this gave me a pathway. So I didn't even like get the coaching. I went straight for the coaching program so I could not only fix my marriage, but if I ever chose to be a marriage coach, then I could do it too. So it was very daring because when your marriage is falling apart, even the thought of becoming a coach is like so far away.
Correct.
But there was that voice in me that just said that do it.
Correct. So, how soon after using these different things did you start noticing a difference? And what do you think made the biggest difference?
Very quickly. It was amazing. Within the first 3 months, our fights, which were almost on a daily basis, decreased about like maybe 10, like it was like 90% down.
Wow.
So within 3 months, you start looking back and you're just like, oh, we didn't argue this week. Oh, it was quiet. Oh, maybe like, we went out together. So it starts shifting very quickly. It's a process. I've been 7 years since I started the skills. And I still use it religiously every single day. Do I slip? Do I make mistakes? Of course I do. I'm just a mere mortal woman, but I always know how to come back and
Right.
how to apologize or how to fix it. So it's beautiful because it's a very straightforward process. It's simple but not always easy.
So, could you give us one example of one of the skills? Like where was the breakdown, and then what did you do to get it back on track again?
Yeah, so I even spoke about it in my TEDx talk, but it's about how not to control the other person because what women consider as helpful, men consider as critical.
Give
So
it an example.
So here it is, like I will tell him how to load the dishwasher better. And I think I'm helping, I'm making him a better man by showing him how to load the dishwasher. But in the meantime, he hears like, you're just nagging. I can never get anything done right. So why even bother? I'm just not gonna do it at all. Because men, when you tell them how to do something, they rebel. It's the natural human behavior. You tell me what to do, how to do it, you're my wife, I'm not gonna do it. But if you express it in such a way, so I teach my clients how to express it so they would hear it and they would want to do it with joy versus all the nagging, because nagging just doesn't work, purely just
Okay,
doesn't.
so you got to tell us what is it that you say to get him so that he does do it. Enjoy. Come on, don't leave us hanging.
Yeah, so I teach it in my classes when I have classes literally where I teach women how to speak it, how to say it specifically. I'll give a very short preview, but again, it has to have a few little things with it. It's just basically through expression of desire. Like even you mentioned earlier, I'm hungry. Right? I'm hungry doesn't do anything, but I would love some food. That's a lot
Yes,
because it's expressing what I want versus what I don't want.
yes,
And a complaint, I would love to go to some warm climate this summer
yes,
instead of I don't want to go anywhere cold. So it's
yes.
like tuning in. Women are so not used to tuning into what they want, so they complain instead of
Right.
saying what they want.
What do you think that's true, that women are not tuned in to what they want? What's
I
that?
think Yeah, it's a really crazy society we live in, but it's almost like the words I want, I would love, yet they're like beaten out of us through society that you're not supposed to want things, right? Even religion or I'm a very spiritual person, but like through religion, you're told that it's bad to want things.
Hmm,
But then we don't stop wanting things. We still want them, but we may just feel guilty about them. And
yeah.
then we suppress that desire and we think, as mothers especially, oh my goodness, we think that our life is to just be sacrificed for our husband, for our children. But then we lose ourselves in the process, and that's why the divorces happen. Because women, what you mentioned in the very beginning, it's like you don't decide, like at 50, for example, that's why most marriages fall apart when the children are about 2 years of age. And then about 50s menopause, just going to a different stage of life.
Mhm.
So in this age, they're sleep deprived at the 2 years old. They're
Mhm.
sleep deprived. The child takes the precedence over the husband. There's arguments. There's all that stuff happening. That's one phase. So then they may split up, and now you have children with no parents together, which is
Yes.
really, really a hard thing to do. And then you have the 50s where the women they're so fed up. They're like, I'm done with this. I'm not serving anybody anymore. Now it's me time. And they think they have to leave the husband
Yeah.
because he's the source of her disappointments and misery. But the truth is that it's not him, it's herself who didn't take the advantage of the things that she was supposed to do, that she could have been doing. And it's not easy because the man is not going to come and say, honey, do you want to go take a time off and go hang out with your girlfriends?
Right.
No. Oh,
Right.
honey, do you want to go to the gym? I'll watch the kids.
Right.
It's
No.
claiming it for yourself.
oh, honey, what's for dinner?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
right.
we feel obligated, like, oh my God, I've got to make him happy. I've got to make the dinner for him. And
Oh, I had this woman who, after 33 years of marriage, her husband came home, and she would, every time he would come home, she would just run up and make his food and prepare everything. And she said this day, she said, comes home, and he's like, "Oh, what's for dinner?" And she's like, "Oh, there's a salad in the fridge." She said, "He got up, he went, he took it, and I didn't die." Like, because it's almost to us, it's like this life and death. Like, if I don't do this thing that they want me to do, they're not going to love me. They're not, I'm not a good wife.
yeah,
But doing less, it gives much more happiness in a relationship. And who would have thought?
right. I know sometimes our husbands do surprise us when
Yeah,
we step out of the way.
absolutely.
I tell this story, when I was first married, the first week my husband comes home and he looks around the house and he says, "Oh, you were home all day, but the house isn't cleaned." Now, I could have gotten like all nervous, like, oh my God, right? But I looked at him and I said, "Oh, you thought you married a maid." And he got real quiet and he goes, oh, okay, like that. And he says, "Well, I guess we better hire one." I said, "Yes." I, I
Wow.
didn't know I need to hire a maid, but at that moment it was like, if I would have given in to do and then resented him for it, I would have been bitter and angry, and he would have been coming home to a clean house and a wife he didn't want to be with.
Oh, I have that all the time with women.
Yeah,
So many stay-at-home moms face that same exact thing, except they're already stuck into the cycle of the house has to be immaculate, has to be perfect, and they're bending backwards and turning into a pretzel to make sure that he doesn't yell, and it just all those you just stopped it in the tracks in the very beginning, almost with a joke.
yeah,
Technically, actually, with a joke, right? Because that's what breaks it up.
yeah. But what happens if the husband is such where he has to have it and demands it and tells her, if you don't do it, whether he says it in action or in words, if you don't do it, I'm going to be miserable with you. What do you do with that?
I think we can't control other people.
Right.
We can only control ourselves and our own happiness. So it usually redirected to her own happiness, to her own joy. I have so many women who, let's say, it's just a silly example, husband was so mad when his wife would leave the coffee cups, like the Keurig coffee cups in the coffee machine or open cabinets. He was so mad. Every time that would happen, he would just get furious.
Wow.
Guess what? She's still leaving open cabinet and the coffee in the the cups in it, but he doesn't get mad. He laughs because she turned it into a joke. She's like, "Oh, look at me. I left it again." And then
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, you did." And then that's it.
Wow.
But sometimes our brain can't process. We can't be perfect. And there are
Right.
some things that we can change and some things that just will never change. And it's accepting yourself for that silly thing that I do. When I accept myself that I'm not not broken, I'm not defaulty, I'm just a mere human being, then they will accept it as well. But it's a process.
Absolutely. So you talk a lot about these women that you work with. If somebody's listening to this and says, "Well, how can I work with Yola?" What would you tell them?
I I have a website. It's called yolacruz.com.
Oh,
And I usually
I'll
post my
name
love.
that. Okay, good. That's
Yes,
easy.
we usually put. I usually have master classes every quarter or so where they can come and sample my work, where I teach already in the master class. But otherwise, I also offer a free call. It's a 20-minute call, love breakthrough session, and it's callwithviola.com. And we just talk and we figured it out what they need, what she needs, because it's customized to each person. But I do group classes, group coaching, and one-on-one coaching.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And we'll have more information on this podcast. All right. Is there any last minute thing you want to say to women who might be struggling with being unhappy in their marriage?
I wanted to circle back, because I don't think I answered the question, why me? Why do I have to do all this work? It's a
Yes.
privilege. It's a privilege to do all this work because when I'm given the opportunity to have all the power in my relationship and I care about it so much, to know that I don't have to count on my husband to show up in a counseling session or to do all that stuff, I can just do it myself. That's the biggest freedom, that's the biggest empowerment I could ever have. So, and I learn how to do less, not more. So women think because I need to do the work that's actually physical hard work. It's not. It's making yourself ridiculously happy. It's just things like that that make a marriage really good. So my thing I always leave women with that relationships can be easy with the right approach, and your need for love is non-negotiable.
It's true.
You
Well,
can
I
have
always
love.
I always finish. I send you all the love in the world, and remember to be love, right?
Yes,
Be love.
yes,
Mwah.
absolutely.
Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you, my
thank you so
dear.
much.